Hi there, I'm Andre from Peak Motorcycles. I'm here in the Peak District on this beautiful sunny day, and today I'm going to be riding this bike over my shoulder. This is a Benelli TRK702X. Now this is a bike that I've seen at EICMA over the last few years, never had a chance to ride one before. It's a 700cc inline twin, it comes very well featured. It's I think £6,899 as of August 2024 in the UK. That's on the road, and that comes with a set of metal luggage. That's a 46 litre top box and I think a 36 and a 42 litre side boxes. So for that price, under £7,000 with the luggage, I think that's kind of compelling, but let's see what it's like on the road. Right then, here we go. First go on a Benelli TRK702X. So very first thought as I sit on this bike is that the seat is pretty low. I'm flat footing it, no problem at all. The seat also feels a little bit hard. I'm being a bit harsh there, but yeah, it's certainly quite narrow at the front, quite well supported at the back, but let's see. Nice little Benelli logo. Oh, you do get these quite nice, you can see them here because I'm in the shade, sort of backlit controls, which is quite a nice little touch. I don't see that on many bikes, not even on the new BMWs. Right then, I'm in first. Here we go. It's a very easy start. It's got a surprisingly deep exhaust note. Pretty smooth. Certainly feels like it wants to go. Red line's up at 9. Let's see if that moves as I go along. So my initial impressions are, as soon as I got on the bike, put my foot on the pegs, they did feel slightly high. So the distance between the seat and the pegs feels quite short. I know if I took those rubber bungs out, I'd suddenly get another inch or so, which might make a difference. It also made me slightly change my riding position. I think I was sitting a bit too far back when I first got on the bike. It does have quite a wide tank, but once you put your feet on the pegs, you naturally sort of take up a position much further forward, which actually is a bit more comfortable as well. I don't know if I was sitting on the hard bit of the seat when I first started, but riding position really is super comfortable. I just feel like, just sitting here. So just riding up and out of Edale now. I'm certainly going uphill. It has plenty of go about it, which is kind of nice for getting past these slow moving vehicles climbing out the valley. A couple of things that I didn't mention in the walk around video. One was that it is definitely an LED headlamp. The second thing is that those sort of panels at the side are the indicators. Right, let's see what this will do. Okay, so that will easily hit 60 coming up here. It's in third. It's a 700cc twin. I don't see why it wouldn't. Even in fourth, there's plenty of go, but I won't get too carried away because there's a lot of people out today. Let's see what it's like through this sequence of bends. Just dropped it down one gear. Still in third, fairly low revs. Yeah, I mean, it's a fairly heavy bike, and these Scorpion STRs aren't the best road tyres, but that was surprisingly fun, and it's fairly effortless to come up this hill. Now I have been riding quite a few smaller bikes lately where a test of coming up a 1 in 5 hill like this really is a chance to see what it'll do in each gear, but this bike certainly doesn't feel like it has any challenge with it at all. The suspension as it is fairly hard. It is certainly road focused. I'm feeling some of the bumps I go over them, but the damping's okay. Not amazing, but okay. And it certainly gives you confidence to come through these bends like this. So if you didn't watch all of any of my walk around video, this bike currently retails for £6,899 in the UK. That is as of August 2024. For comparison, that's about £1,000 more than a CF Moto 450 MT, or slightly less than the third the price of the BMW R12 R1300 GS. Now, I know this bike isn't the same as either of those, but arguably it could do what both of them do. It'll be a bit quicker than the 450 MT, and it comes with metal luggage for that price. It will arguably do what the GS does, though not as quickly and without as many toys. So if you know this part of the world at all, this is Winnets, also known as Winnets Pass. It's a collapsed cave that drops down into Castleton. Also filming location for the Princess Bride, so there you go. Anyway, it's a good place to try it, to test out brakes. So the front brakes, very progressive, Not the strongest brakes I've ever had on a bike, but perfectly serviceable for what it is. And coming down here, I'm in third gear, there's a bit of engine braking. This is a fairly steep hill, it's about a 25% incline. Well, that is about 1 in 4, obviously. Give the back brake that seems to be in a slightly high position for me. I mean, it does work, but I think that that's actually a bit of a reach up. Also have to take my foot off the pedal. One thing I did notice just when I was riding along the top was that screen. The screen really isn't that big. In fact, I would almost bet that that screen is lower at the top than the screen on my CRF300 Rally. It's probably, I don't know, part way up my chest, something like that. On the plus side, I get a lovely view of the road, and on a day like this where I can wear mesh gear and the sun is shining, then I get plenty of airflow to cool me down. For touring, I think, yeah, probably get something a bit higher. If anything, that might even be a weakness of the bike, in that a lot of other bikes have adjustable windshields, so you can move them up or down depending on where and how you're riding. This one is just fixed in that one position, and you can see the back of the bolts that are holding it in place. Now, I don't really plan on going through any towns today. It's too nice a day and I just rather enjoy the roads. So this is coming through a busy Castleton during the school holidays, which is probably the closest thing I'm going to get to town riding. So lots of low speed manoeuvring, and the bike feels fine. Suspension's a little hard over the potholes, but certainly for pottering around this sort of traffic and as a commuter bike, it feels very, very easy to ride. One thing I would like to change from my opening was when I sat on it, first of all, it felt very low and I could get my feet flat, and I'm pretty sure I could get my feet flat. There's no reason to say otherwise. Having just stopped at a couple of junctions, it does feel higher. Now, I don't know if it's because I've shuffled in the seat and that's made it slightly different, or if now I'm moving, something has changed on the suspension, maybe the road surface, but it certainly feels, actually, I would say it's not low. If you're a bit shorter in the leg and you're thinking, a low bike, maybe this is for me. I'm not quite flat foot. My heel's just slightly off the ground. I'm 6'1" with a 32-inch inside leg. I'm sure there's lowering options both with the seat and the suspension. However, my opening's saying that it was a lowish seat that I could easily get my feet down. I think maybe that applies on gravel, maybe less so on tarmac. So I'm just riding along here now around 50-ish miles an hour, 6th gear, 3,500 RPM. The bike is super smooth, feels very solid. There's a bit of vibration when I open up the throttle in 6th, but in 4th and 5th at this speed there was nothing. And actually it's a very comfortable place to be. Yes, there's a lot of wind off the top of that windscreen, but it doesn't bother me, not today. There's a little bit coming up where there is a 60 mile an hour limit, so I can push it a bit more. I don't expect I'm going to go to anywhere with a motorway where I can get up to 70, but given the amount of power in this engine, there is no reason to suggest that this will not easily cope with motorway speeds. Okay, so here we have a short bit of national speed limit, which is 60 miles an hour here in the UK. 3rd gear, full throttle. Oh, no problem. Yeah, in fact, that is 3rd gear, so feels like an easy overtake gear. At 6th, I'm getting a bit of buffeting. Yeah, again, that small windscreen, I know I keep mentioning it, but given that so much else on this bike seems to work really well, might as well also call out what I feel doesn't work quite so well. It's acceleration in 5th. Yeah, a little bit slower up to 60. 6 is very comfortable. Yeah, I think as a tourer, with that, I think it would be fine. The gearbox as well really is super light. I think is it a cable clutch? I think it might be. But it's, yeah, very, very light, just easily clicks up and down the gears, 6 speeds obviously, and I'm not at a particularly high number of revs, just to keep pottering along in 6th. Well, I am probably halfway into my test ride, and yeah, really impressed. Engine goes really well, bike's really comfortable to ride, really nice riding position. If I had to pick anything, dash is a bit small, windscreen's a bit low, but on a day like this it's actually quite nice to have a low windscreen, get lots of airflow through. So yeah, I'll just give you a very quick look around the bike. I know I've done a separate video on this, so I won't dwell on it, but just to give you a look for those that haven't seen the other one. Just from the back, you see it's got that big old exhaust. There's quite a big rear disc, It looks like an alloy swing arm. It's got Pirelli Scorpion Rally tyres as standard. This one has a centre stand fitted, but I don't think that is standard. If you look at the foot pegs, they're like these rubber bungs in the top, which might be what's affecting my riding position. I think I'd probably try and take those out. They are, I think they are bolted in. But yeah, I think I'd probably take those out to give a bit more leg room. If you look up and down the side of the bike, these Benelli branded front discs with wavy discs, that's twin discs. The front, that LED headlamp, and this in here, this is the turn signals, the indicator lights. The bike is really nicely finished. The seat does actually go up very slightly at the front, so maybe that's why with the shift of riding position it felt like it was a bit taller. And to come up and over, give you a view of the dash, see what's in there. That's all kind of cool. Oh, I didn't show this before. That's the USB slot with both USB-C and USB-A, which is a nice sort of future-proof touch with a nice rubber cover. That is the key, which is kind of cool. That flicks out. Leave that in there just so I don't forget. In fact, if I turn it on, give you a quick look at the dash. There you have it. So yeah, all in all, I think that is really tidy. I'm really enjoying riding it. I think you probably could take that anywhere. The screen is a weakness, if I'm honest. As you can see, it's not that big. It is fixed and it looks kind of basic compared to the offerings on a lot of other bikes these days. However, the mirrors are great. You know, they've got that textured look that makes them look like carbon fibre, although they're not. And even these handguards are just really nicely made. You know, it's metal bars around it. That wasn't me. TRK logo on the front. Yes, they are attached to the mirror perch. I know some people are worried about, you know, is that going to take off your brake lever if you have an accident? I have them like that on my Cove. That's how it came from the factory. And until one actually breaks, I think that is opinion rather than fact. But yeah, I'm going to carry on. I have a bit more riding to do and I'll give the suspension a good workout. But yeah, all in all, really quite impressed. This is the road from Hathersage up towards Burbage that I'm riding at the moment. And it's a paved surface, but it's not particularly smooth. There's all sorts of lumps and bumps in the tarmac, as you can see. That will help, felt that one. And I quite like coming up here just really to see what the suspension on a bike is like. Now, I would say that what I've noticed this bike so far is that exactly as it came, it's firm. You know, when I come over this stuff, and you can see the bike moving around there, you know, I can certainly feel them, but it doesn't feel unsettled. You know, sometimes you hit these bumps and yeah, the suspension doesn't really know what to do with them. I think this is just hard. So I think for 99% of roads where you have a good surface, it is probably well designed and perfectly good. For this little stretch, yeah, it certainly shows up that it's not top of the line, but then again, if you're paying less than £7,000 for the whole bike, including luggage, with this level of kit that's on it, then yeah, I don't really think that's to be expected. And while the suspension isn't brilliant, considering the price point of this bike, 6,899, I think that's about the same price as a Honda CRF300 Rally, with no luggage, with no USB charger. It does have handguards, but they're not great. Doesn't have a colour screen. I know a colour screen is not everything, but it does make a difference. And before you tell me these are two very different bikes, yes, I know they are. I think the CRF300 Rally is definitely a long distance version of a trail bike, and this is absolutely an adventure bike. But if you want to do road touring, maybe if you like trails, then I think this is, you know, probably a good bike to choose. I think it certainly represents better value for money. And I know that some people will say, well, it's a Benelli. It's not really a Benelli, it's made in China. A lot of things are made in China, iPhones included, most bits, well, a lot of bits on a lot of bikes as well. What I do know is that Benelli is still the same company in Pesaro in Italy, so all the design is done there, all the marketing is done there, you know, the thinking behind the bikes is done there, but the bike isn't made in Italy, the bike is made in China. I know that there are various opinions on that, which I won't get into here. This is a motorcycle channel, not a politics review program. But yeah, I think if you see one of these and you see what the build quality is like, I think you'll be quite impressed. I know I certainly am. Now, this isn't really what I expected, but what I have found is that this engine really does come alive in the higher revs. I mean, that's in third, and if I just open it a touch, it will just so easily pick up speed. It's almost like the way the map's been done, that something changes above, what, 5,000, 6,000 RPM, and that bit between maybe 5 and 8.5. The engine is actually quite raucous. You do get a bit of a roar from the exhaust and away it goes. So I'm nearly done with my test ride for today. Just heading back down into Hathersage and then on to Edale. I've been really impressed, like really impressed. I have had a few opportunities to stretch the bike's legs a little bit, check out the suspension, check out the acceleration. Unfortunately I forgot to film any of that, maybe. But what I will say is that certainly the top end of this engine really does go. You know, I wasn't sure just how much power there would be in a 700 twin like this, but I can say that there is plenty for overtaking. Yeah, it's and that's not at the expense of low down. You know, sometimes you get an engine that really comes alive at the higher revs, but it's almost, you know, more work lower down the rev range. You know, you really have to work it through the gears to make the torque and power work for you, and it isn't. You know, it's been, you know, very, very easy to ride at low speeds, very maneuverable, you know, easy in like low speed traffic around some of this holiday traffic that there's a lot of at the moment. That has been without a problem. And I think the surprise for me maybe is that once I did open it up, which I can't do now that I'm back in the 30, but yeah, when you do open it up, that sort of 6,000 to 8.5, 5 to 8.5, it really does go. You know, third is an extremely capable overtaking gear, and not that, I mean, you can just get past things. I mean, you can get past things easily. Of course, it doesn't have the power and the go of 1,000 or a 1,200 or a 1,300, but it's a third the price with luggage. And I think for what most people need in a tourer, you know, I'm not quite sure how this would fare as an adventure bike. The standing position for me isn't quite right. You know, I'd need to take the bungs out of the pegs and probably get some risers on it as well. But as a tourer, with the luggage, I think this is a pretty compelling package. If I could have a wish list, adjustable screen, maybe a quick shifter. Is that it? Higher bars slightly for riding trails. That's probably that's probably not really what's going to come on this bike. One other thing that has been a pleasant surprise is how good these Pirelli Scorpion Rallys are as a road tyre. I know they're not great in mud, and I know that because I passed I think at least one bike that had them on when I did the Sweetland Baja earlier this year on my CRF300 Rally. But as a road tyre, that must be what, 50-50, 60-40, something like that. It's definitely more road biased than trail, but it does have some blocks on it, and it has been very, very smooth to ride. So yeah, I've been very impressed with that. Right then, I think I've probably said enough. Coming back into traffic now, so I will leave it there and record my final thoughts when I get back. So that is it, I'm all done. That is my first ride on the Benelli TRK702X. I'm really impressed, I really am. I mean, yeah, it's not a GS, but it's not £22,000, £23,000, which is what a new 1300 GS costs with luggage, if you can get the luggage, for less than £7,000 with the metal boxes. I think that is incredible value. I mean, yeah, it's not the most advanced bike out there. It doesn't have all the electronic gadgets that many do. Did I miss them today? No, not really. And that engine in particular was a real surprise. I just thought it would be, you know, slightly underpowered. Wouldn't really go. But for the speeds I've been riding around here, it's fine. In fact, it's better than fine. There's plenty of go in there for overtaking, and I think certainly for motorway cruising as well, it is more than adequate. There are some things that I'd change. You know, I'd certainly adjust the brake pedal so it was a bit lower, take the rubber bits out of the foot pegs. Would look at doing something with the screen to lift it up a bit. None of those are really that significant, especially not on a bike for less than £7,000. So yeah, I did wonder, you know, who would buy it, and I think anyone who wants a cheap tourer, maybe somebody who is, you know, going up from a smaller bike to a bigger bike but doesn't want to spend a lot of money, or maybe even those people who are downsizing. The other thing I did wonder about, you know, if you were going to come to Europe and do a tour maybe for a month or two, and you're thinking of shipping your bike from further afield, you know, why incur £3,000, £4,000 worth of shipping costs to have your bike here? You know, you could buy one of these, you could ride it for 2 months, you know, you'd have the local dealer support across Europe, and you could probably sell it back at the end for, well, certainly less than you paid for it, but probably significantly less than what it would cost to ship another bike over. So if you are thinking of doing a fly ride to Europe, yeah, maybe this is something you would consider. Now, for those of you who think I was just saying that, I'd really say try and ride one, you know, see if you can get a test ride on one. And I genuinely think you'll be impressed. Yeah, I've been really impressed, as you can tell. I think for what this bike offers at that price, it really is a very good touring bike. Now, I didn't get to take it off-road. I tried the standing position, but it's just, yeah, I'm too hunched. You know, I definitely need to take the rubber bits out the pegs, probably get some bar risers on it, but I don't think really that's what it's for. I mean, I'm sure it can do gravel roads and dirt tracks, especially with those tyres. But I think as a competent tourer that could also do that, I think it's one of the best out there. Right then, that's enough of me waxing lyrical about this Benelli TRK702X. I hope that's been interesting and useful. If it has been, please check out my other content and maybe I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.